after like 6+ hours on the road, we finally made it to New York, and we're just down the street from our hotel. We're getting ready to go find a restaurant so we can get some fucking food and actually sit down and eat, and it's gonna be great because we've been living on McDonald's food and other crappy food all day. So. And I managed to grab a night vision camera.
I've seen now this moves. I've seen that move. I've heard the cat in here. Yay!
We were gonna bring our
cat.
Oh, I just want to see the cat.
I've been here with my girlfriend before, and she saw a little figure here at the end of the bed. Last night, I think it was a boy. I wasn't here. Kelly was here. So no, sleeping in the bed. So Helen sitting in the chair went to go blink his eyes. When he blinked his eyes, she was right in his face. When she opened his eyes, he blinked again and she disappeared.
It's a no for me.
So,
good news.
but yeah, so that's in here. You get Helen in here. You get Sal. You get Esther.
What's the cat's name?
Sweet Thing.
I love you, sweet thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're
welcome
now.
to come here, sweet thing.
I had
Honestly,
a
I
guest.
love
This
cat
poor
pillows.
girl was so scared.
Oh.
And we were in the gentleman's quarters, and all of a sudden she goes, I feel something, and all of a sudden it jumped in her lap. She goes, and then you heard the meow, and we were like, oh my god, it was a cat!
I
Yeah.
had a kitty.
But anyway, so why don't you guys, I don't have a watch on my phone, why don't you guys get your stuff, you want to head, what time is it, hon?
It's 5 minutes to 8.
8? Okay, so if you want to bring your stuff down, it could be a brief history of the place, about some
Yeah.
hot spots, so that when you guys go off to your own thing, you know, you'll know where to go to. Then also, when we get to those rooms, I'll also explain about those rooms and the people there. So if you look on top of each of the doors, you'll see the names of the spirits of the rooms. Then we'll go over some things.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
I'll go give you the history when you guys come down. So we're in the great room right now. This is, since it's only us, this is the room that we all meet in. Where if we had more guests, we always meet here and talk and chat about what we've caught. The Shanley Hotel was built in 1845. It burned down in 1895 and was rebuilt within 6 months. So what you're seeing here is the original 1895, from 1895. You go to the back of where we're going to be going later. It's called the Gentlemen's Quarters, as well as the bordello area that was built in about 1910. The gentleman that built it, his name is still back there on the wall, and we have it covered with a piece of plexiglass.
Kitty?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
The gentleman's quarters is, we're gonna go back there and I'll show you the room back there as well. That's an area that you guys can investigate later on. The gentleman's quarters was where the gentlemen would go. They'd play cards, they'd gamble, they'd smoke, they'd drink. And right above, going up the stairway, is the bordello area. Prior to that being a bordello area, it was a nursery. And it was a living quarters for the barber that was for Mr. Shanley. His name was Peter. Peter had 2 daughters, which when we go upstairs to the bordello area, actually, if you look behind you, Angela, the little girl on the wall, that's Rosie. Rosie actually, unfortunately, she was almost 4 years old. Across the street there, where that little hedge is, and there's a concrete slab, she fell in the well and hit her head, and she died. So, that's
Camera's down.
What's that?
Camera's down.
Already?
Yep.
When did you put batteries in it?
Oh, we were charging it in the car, remember?
I don't doubt it because of
Oh, yeah.
what goes on here. So up in the bordello area, when Rosie passed away, her father moved their family back to New York City, and then hence Mr. Shanley moved into the bordello, which we have two ladies up there, the ladies of the night. We don't call them whores. If you want to call them ladies of the night or prostitutes, that's fine. If I will just forewarn, if you fellas put out money for the girls, don't put out more than $1, because do not put money back into your pocket when you take it, when you put it down, because if you take it back, that's just not a good thing. If you offer them money, leave the money that you offer. Do not. So there's 2 females that are up in the bordello area. One, when you first go up to the bordello on the right-hand side, her name is Anna. Anna was from Ireland. Anna was late teens, 19, 20, 21, 22 when she died. Anna had an affair with Samuel, which was one of the stablemate here. Samuel was of color, so Anna got pregnant by a gentleman of color, which back then you don't do. So Samuel was hung on a tree outside here. They took Anna and her baby, we don't know what happened to them. Maddie, we feel, was also from Ireland. She was sent here on a bet paying off a bet for her brother. Her brother owed money, and she came here to pay it off, to work it off, I should say. She died of natural causes very young. She died of an illness way back in the early 1900s. Sickness, when you got sick, a lot of times you didn't recover. So that's the bordello area, gentlemen's quarters. In the gentlemen's quarters, there was also a 1-lane bowling alley Mr. Shanley had made, and there used to be a bowling league that they would have. They'd have a tournament in the back, so when you guys leave, there's this concrete slab you're gonna see that's still there. So coming through here, this is the great room area, as I said. This is a great area to investigate. Some people think that nothing happens here. You hear that music box going off? That hallway is active, active, active. In that hallway, all the way to the end, on the opposite side of the gentlemen's quarters, there's a haunted mirror. So you're welcome to use that. Anybody ever do, I always say it wrong, scrying?
Scrying?
Scrying. Yeah, scrying. Scrying. Yeah, I always say it wrong too. Scrying, looking in the mirror. Feel free to do that at any given time tonight. You're welcome to. The mirrors back there as well. Some people like doing it, other people don't like doing it. I particularly don't care to do it. So now we're going through, we'll go upstairs to the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor we have Rose's room in the far end here. Rose was like a world traveler, and she used to come here, write memoirs, poems, things like that. She wrote stories, short stories. She enjoyed being here and just relaxing. Next to her room is Oscar and Grover's room. As I said, you're going to see above everybody's door, so you're going to go up and say, oh yeah, that was the room. Oscar and Grover were gangsters, and if you look in the room, there was a bullet hole in the window, and there's a bullet hole in the wood above their doorway. So that's Oscar Grover's room. They used to, it was said that they had to share one bed, so they'd fight over the bed. For years, I used to sleep in Oscar and Grover's room, and there'd always be men come in that room. You'd hear the door open, they'd walk to my bed, say, Kim, climb into bed. So, it's okay. Next room over is the Roosevelt Room, which used to be called, if you ever look back in the history here, it used to be called the Blue Room. We now call it Roosevelt Room. Eleanor Roosevelt used to stay in that room. Eleanor Roosevelt was very good friends with Mrs. Shanley. They used to, the Shanleys were part of the Irish Mafia, and James Shanley and John Powers got caught during Prohibition. We do have a couple secret rooms here, which we are not going to be going to. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Rats.
They're very small. They're very, very small. And don't go trying to find them because, yeah, don't. Just for your own safety. But they got in a lot of trouble, and because Eleanor Roosevelt was friends with Mrs. Shanley, they got off, so they didn't get in any trouble. So that was the Roosevelt Room. Thomas Edison stayed here as well. Yeah. Further down is the Silent Room. Al Hazen used to own the hotel at one time as well, after Mr. Shanley owned it. Al Hazen used to sleep in the room called the Silent Room. He used to own a house down the street. He'd be drunk and drinking. His wife would say, you stay there, you sleep it off. So he'd be sleeping in that room and they'd say, shh, he's sleeping, you gotta be silent. Hence the Silent Room. Marguerite, we don't know too much history about Marguerite, but Marguerite is the room that I got pulled out of the bed. Sorry. It's like I got this terrible ring in my ear. Now, when I got pulled out of the bed, prior to that happening, we had a guest that was supposed to be sleeping in that bed, and she decided she didn't want to sleep in that room. She was going to sleep in a room where her boyfriend was sleeping, which was in the bordello. She handed me the key. Through the night, she was a little aggressive towards the guest, so I think the spirits knew she wasn't very nice to the other guest. So I think they were going to plot a plan to go after her that night in the bed. So I think they were thinking she was in the bed, not me, and I got pulled out of the bed. Prior to me getting pulled out of the bed, before I went to sleep, my friend sent me a text message of a selfie. I went like that, snapped a selfie of myself and sends it off, not looking at it. I can show you the picture. Next morning, I'm telling my friends, my co-workers, other investigators, hey, I got pulled out of the bed the night before. I got up, went to the bathroom, went back to bed, not thinking anything of it. I'm sitting there telling my friends, my phone texts. My friend goes, who was in the bed with you? I thought you said you were sleeping there by yourself. It's a king-size bed. I go, I was in the bed by myself. He said, look at your picture. There's a black shadow in the bed next to me. That's Marguerite's room. So, now you got Esther's room. Esther's room, as I told you, Esther was Beatrice Shanley's sister. She was married to John. The picture of Esther. I wouldn't be surprised if the music box or the dog doesn't go off. Esther! Showing the folks your picture, how beautiful you are. This is Esther Shanley. Esther was was sisters with Beatrice. Unfortunately, Beatrice's children, her 3 children, died all before the age of 9 months. Esther passed of the flu, and Esther had a few children as well that Beatrice Shanley ended up raising. So because Beatrice's children passed. So Esther was quite young when she passed away, but that's the room that you guys are staying in. She does speak in there. Another spirit that we get in there a lot is Emma. Emma was the cook here. So Emma sometimes speaks in the room. We'll say, what's your favorite room? You hear us say kitchen. So that's pretty much on that floor. And I told you the other spirits that are in that room. Now going up to further, in the upper floor, there's Joe. He was a hitman. Joe sometimes says some bad words. So I hope you don't get offended if you get
Oh, God, no.
the F word, the see you next Tuesday word.
We live indoors.
Yeah, we're college kids, so.
So that's Joe. Then there's Jonathan, the little boy that passed as well. We're not certain if it's Jonathan or not. Sometimes spirits will pretend that they're a child to get your trust. And so we're not so certain. Claire's in the far back corner. Claire was pregnant. Unfortunately, Claire's boyfriend did not want to have a baby with her. He was already involved. So hence Claire hanging herself in the room. So in that room, sometimes women, even men, feel sadness. They feel, they don't feel good, sick to their stomach. Next to Claire's room is Sarah's room. That's where I was choked. I'll show you the picture of me with finger marks around my neck from me being choked. We think it was Adam. Adam killed Sarah, we think, during rough sex. So that's why we think he gets a little aggressive up there. If at any given time you guys feel sick, you don't feel comfortable, you just feel uneasy, please tell me. I'll get you out of the room. We'll go to another room and you usually feel better. Because it does happen. It does. So that's pretty much the history of the Shanley.
We just had a briefing from the proprietor of the hotel, and everything's looking great so far. We're about to start the first part of our investigation. We are the only guests here at the hotel. It's just the 4 of us and the owner. Other than that, there's nobody else here, so it's going to be really interesting. We can't wait to see what we get.
We're staying skeptical just in case.
We're staying skeptical just in case, of course.